Our church service in the Far East was a great blessing to me and my wife Marge and our children. We have great respect for Asian people, as our association with them has done so much to enrich our lives. As you can see, this corner of our home contains a few artistic reminders of that culture. It's also a place where we hang one of the pictures of our family. Because family is the center of what we hold most dear, we wanted you to become acquainted with an Asian American family who has gained our special admiration. How to embrace and support our homosexual children is the focus of this film. This is a family portrait of the Horstmanshoff family, in which there are 3 homosexual sons and 1 daughter who is lesbian. The remarkable parents in this home have been able to put their arms around all of their children and the others in their extended family in a way that makes each feel loved and valued. Their daughters Leraine and Bianca and their son Ernie will begin the introductions.
My name's Leraine. Growing up in this family was interesting, I guess, with 11 kids. We got to be ourselves, that's for sure, you know. We didn't really have a whole lot of restrictions. So, yeah, growing up it was fun and it was crazy at times. And I guess I'm the musician of the family. Actually, we've all played music. I'm the one that kind of stuck it out, being the musician artist in the family. And, you know, I'm a singer-songwriter, and I wrote a song for my mom, and it's basically a song about, you know, her being a mother, really, and some of the things, you know, she had to go through, and that my mom's she's always come from love. That's the biggest message, you know, that she's always given us. And, you know, that her being a Mormon and everything and has never really stopped her showing her love for all the children, you know, and us being gay it's not really an issue. It never was an issue in our family. So anyways, I call this song my mother's song. My mother has a big, big heart. She's got enough love for every child in this world. She says that we are all God's children. God is not prejudiced. She loves everyone. She says, love, love, love for all my children. Love, love, love. It's gonna heal this world. La, 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 la.
It's 2 years ago, yeah. And on wedding anniversary.
50th anniversary.
50 wedding anniversary. The dinners, children all here.
They're
All
all there.
11 was here. Just I can see who is who. I can see it. The oldest, honey. Can you say what Roy is?
Jared, yeah.
Roy is here.
I can see it. Roy, this one, and this
Roy.
my daughter,
And then you get
Margot.
Margot. After
then
Margot
Stephen.
come.
Stephen.
Oh,
Ja, Andy en Kevin. En dan
Ernie.
komt Ernest en Mark, die hebben mijn sons toe. En na Ernest Mark komt Larry. Oh no, Sharon hier, Sharon. En Sharon, dit is Sharon. En achter Sharon komt Larry. Van achter Larry komt Leraine. Waar is Roy nog hier? Hier, en her companion.
companions.
Yeah.
After Leraine, then you got Stan?
Stanley. At the Stanley's Bianca. Come even, where's Bianca now? I can find her.
Yes, Bianca.
Yeah, this Bianca.
After Bianca, ik heb Marcel.
And Marcel.
My parents currently are residents of Salt Lake. My dad is in his late 70s, and they're at that time in life when they're retired, and we're hoping that they enjoy it. And I think they've built quite a legacy. And I mean by that is we had their 50th anniversary, 50th wedding anniversary, which in itself is an accomplishment. That took place about 2.5 years ago, and I was asked to make some remarks there reflecting on my parents, and I said probably the legacy that they have left us is that all of us, their children and their children's children, first of all, that we're there, that they're in the United States, and that we're all successful at what we do, and we all have a good ethical work value and things of that nature. But anyway, we're talking 11 kids. 5 brothers, 5 sisters, and I spoke to my mom about 2 months ago, and I think she said 21 great-grandchildren, 19 grandchildren. And the way they came to the United States has to do with the Mormon Church. My parents, by way of quick background, were originally from Indonesia, and World War II came, and as many of you know, that very bad time, and their country was invaded by Japan. My parents were affiliated with the Dutch. Indonesia was a Dutch colony for 300 years. And so when they gained their independence, they of course overthrew their colonial rulers, and the Netherlands, fearing a bloodbath, offered political asylum to about 400,000 people, and my parents took that opportunity to get out of the country. They were also Christian, and as you may not know, Indonesia is predominantly an Islamic nation. So they went to Holland. We're talking about a total change, and that's why I think my parents are really great people. They may be humble in that they never had any education or educational opportunities, but when I think of what they did, I don't know if I would have the courage to do what they did. They went to Holland, started a family, and now went from an equatorial country and a different culture to a European nation. My parents not only joined the church, but then sought, as many people have, and as many people continue to do so, and I do want to make note of this because it's just very part of my soul, and that is to come to this country, the greatest on earth. And so they sought sponsorship to come to the United States. And when they went into the authorities, they said, well, we'd like to go to California. That's a popular name. But they said, well, you know, and then they recognized that my dad had put down Mormon and said, well, you know, maybe I ought to try to go to Salt Lake City. My dad said, well, let's try Salt Lake City. A man by the name of Tiernink, who some of you may recognize that name, received notification as a Dutch consul and said to his son, who had served a mission in Holland, you know what? Maybe we ought to, do you know this family? He said, I know that family, Dad. It's this Indonesian family, and they have the missionaries over. They're very poor, but they're always feeding us. He says, why don't we sponsor them? That's how we got to the United States, and more children born in the U.S., 11 kids.
Angie is the first one that told me, Mom, I got something to say to you. I went on a mission because I want you to be proud of me, being proud of me. But my feeling is just the opposite. I'm attracted to boys, and I know that when I'm 7 years old, I know it already. That I went on a mission to make you parents, Dad and Mom proud, he said to me. So I accepted it right away, because what I felt is, you know, I hear from the people and on the news about the gays and about the lesbian, you know, but I told John, look, there are lesbian gays but we are all his children. And you got to treat them equally, love them. That's the only thing what you can do. But which way they go, that is their responsibility, not mine. But my feeling is, as the Lord loves his children, I love my children. And that I accept them how they are, that's it. But then, after a week or two, he said, Mom, and he said to me, can you talk to Dad? Can you talk to Dad? I said, yeah, I will. So I talked to him, and he said, why he went on a mission? And he was a little bit mad. When he said, no, he did it for us. That we are proud of him, that he went on a mission. But I told him also, right away, said, look, we are all his children. God loves us, and I love our children. He gave me those children in my hand to raise them, and when they are growing up, that's their decision where they go, what's way to go. I raise them till a certain time. I can tell them to do that, but then, after all, the Lord gave us all freedom to choose and to live how we want, how we will do it. And that's a strong feeling of me.
Now when he come back on mission, and then I heard, yeah, he's a gay. I said, what, a gay? What is gay? I didn't know what gay is. Well, this and this and that. Oh. He said, how is it possible? Go on mission and then come back as a gay? Well, they are born like that. I said, oh. Well, I'm not agree with that. And we had one of the kids was a birthday. I saw that on the table. Peculiar people. I said, hey, so that book. I started reading that book. They are all Mormons. And then I said, oh, they are born like that. Then I said, oh, that's okay then. Yeah.
When Leraine, my daughter, make music, she's a lesbian. And she got many friends, but I told her and told Andy, all your friends and Ernest, all your friends are my sons and daughters. And some of those friends of Leraine call me mom. They accept me as mom because their parents doesn't accept them, and he call me always mom. Something, mom? Can you do it, mom? Yes, I accept them. I'm your mom, and that's it.
I was baptized into church and grew up in Salt Lake. And from about approximately age 12 to 17 was not active, but very much aware of the church, of course. And then got to that age of wanting to know what I wanted to do with my life and made it actually a serious pursuit in terms of my own life. What was the church about? Was it true? Who is God and the nature of God? At least, looking back, I recognize that that's what I was doing. And gained a testimony as to his existence and to the divinity of his Son, which I still have, very much more so than I did at that point in my life. And so I cleaned up my life and went on a mission. And I think when you talk to missionaries, if they're really honest, they'll say that missions are hard, and a lot of times it wasn't the greatest thing on earth, but very hard work. At the same time, they'll reflect on times that they say there's some of the happiest times as they've had experiences in sharing the gospel with other people. And not only that, getting outside of themselves, the whole idea of sharing and realizing that there is pleasure and joy to be found in life in giving to others. But for me, I'd like to say most of my mission was almost a riot in that I went to upstate New York, which is where all the church sites are. So it's not only that we had the church sites, but I do think I had a unique mission in that I spent so much time in the mission office, about 18 months, and about 16 of that I was working with the mission president. And we would, a lot of our work was also preparing the Hilcomora pageant, that is to coordinate the housing of all the participants. But again, what I'm saying is I loved my mission, and it was a great privilege to be and visit and to study the sites of where it all happened, and to become very aware that when the church started, it was very fragile in its number, and it was not in a friendly environment. And yet, enough had evolved in our country by way of principles under the Constitution. But the environment was right, because I'm convinced that had the restoration taken place anywhere else, it might have been snuffed out. But to then see the church sites and the Sacred Grove, and of course the Hilcomora pageant, I came home very much with in mind where I wanted my life to go, and that is to get an education and to be married in the temple and to raise a family. And so I pursued that. I went to Ricks College. I loved Ricks College. I was a student body officer at Ricks College, and I remember that one of the funnest things I did is we got Alex Haley to talk at the time, because Roots was a big thing then, and he had appeared on Johnny Carson, and I felt he had done more in advertising the genealogy program of the church than we had done in 100 years, because he was telling Johnny Carson, look at all these people you're related to, and he said, where did you get this? And he explained about the Mormon church and its interest in genealogy. So I went to Ricks College after my mission. That also was the first time when I spoke to another individual and disclosed that I had same-sex attractions. I'd never spoken to anybody about this, and certainly I was very quiet about it. My earliest recollection in my life that I had same-sex attraction, I was in junior high, and I remember even the boy's name. I just knew that I not only liked him, I ended up dreaming about him, and when we were in gym, if he was in the locker room, I just realized that I didn't know what it was. All I knew is I really liked seeing him, and I just never reflected on it as I would now to say, trying to figure out what is this. I just, didn't know. I just recall that I could not get my eyes off of this boy. His name was Tom, and I just thought I wanted to be around him. And never made that equation at that time. But when I was in high school, I had friends and they would talk about girls, and then it started to dawn on me that I thought maybe, I'm missing something and it'll happen at some point. There was something in it without having thought this out. Something inside me said, be careful, and that I realized I started compensating, actually a lot. On my mission, one mission companion loved to wrestle, but then would tell people, don't wrestle with Elder Horstmanshoff because boy, you'll really get hurt. And I realized I would really wrestle hard because I had this fear that if I didn't show this manliness, I don't know why, I just thought, I just wanted to make sure that I now realize that I was actually trying to be this role because I had an innate sense in me that, you can't ever tell anybody that you have these feelings because, it will not be accepted. And so I hid it. I hid it and did what I was supposed to do. That is, I was doing what others were doing. I was going to school, active in the church, Sunday school stake president. I think it's a lot of fun. But what happened is, in my second year, I met a girl who fell in love with me, and I felt very close to, and so I went to my branch president and basically said, here's my situation. And he asked me some questions, I think to verify. I think he wanted to make sure, and I'm sure that, maybe he didn't run into this much. I think he wanted to make sure that me and my feelings. I mean, are you sure? And basically after we talked, I think he was reassured that this was really the way I felt, and I didn't have any idea as to why this was. So he decided and he asked me, could I give you a blessing? And I said, well, of course. So he gave me a blessing, and in that blessing, he encouraged me to pursue this relationship, and that if it should lead to marriage, not to disclose to my wife the situation, that in due time the opportunity would present itself, and I would know, and then we could address it, and that she could help me. And so I did exactly that. I married that girl, and we had 3 children. Jessica, Justin, and Jason. I don't know, I have a thing with J's, But anyway, beautiful children, and pursued my education. From Rick's College, I went to BYU. And I really thought, what do I want to do with my life? Well, my brother, who is an attorney at that time, was going to law school, and he encouraged me to go back to school. And that's what I did. I went to BYU, finished my undergraduate, and then got a scholarship at D.J. Reuben Clark Law School. So here I was with 3 children now in school, and when I look back, I'd say, I don't know how I did that. So Cindy stayed home with the kids, and I was in law school. And 6 years into the marriage, living with the predicament that my feelings and my same-sex attraction had not diminished one iota. It was as part of me as the color of my eyes or the color of my hair. And that created its deep conflicts within me. At the time, my wife, Cindy, was working at the Provo Temple. I was teaching at the MTC, and she felt that something was hugely amiss in my life. So she made it a pursuit of fasting and prayer without divulging that to me. And one Saturday morning, we woke up, and she turned to me and said, Ernie, I've had a dream. And I said, yeah. And she said, in that dream, I saw you, and the next thing I felt that I was inside you looking out and seeing the world as you see it. And she said, but I felt this feeling, and it really frightened me. And I said, what did you feel? At the same time, kind of feeling like I think she's heading in this direction. And she said, the desire to be with men, is it true? And I'd never lied to her. And though I had never ever acted on my sexual orientation, I told her, yes, it's true. But I've never done anything. And I think that was the beginning of the end of our marriage. And I feel very sorry for Cindy in that, in a way, I felt I had betrayed her because she said, why didn't you tell me? And I really felt that had been a great injustice to her to enter the marriage and not disclose something so fundamental. And I think that it made her doubt herself and her sexuality. And too often, as happens, she looked to herself. What have I done? Is there something that I've done to create this? So I really felt for her. And stepping outside that picture for a moment, I feel for all spouses who deal with this. And at that time, and I think still now, there needs to be more progress made within the church to help people who are in this situation, because the situation is not unique. So, though we tried to keep the marriage intact, it did not work. And we eventually separated and were divorced. Now, I say that in such few words, but let me tell you, I'm talking about a time of great sadness, of pain, of hurt, of anxiety, of worry. I love my children as any other man can love them. I've always been close to them. It raised fundamental questions as to what was to happen to me. Questions as to how could this fit in God's plan. But I still remember sitting alone in an apartment that was completely empty, and really, for me, I now realize, in true despair. And I'm not one given to showing or expressing my emotions when it comes to tears. I think it was the first time in my life that I cried as an adult. And so I didn't know what to do or how to move on. But I did make it a pursuit of prayer. My testimony of prayer has never changed. And that is just to have a testimony that if you truly, truly, as the scriptures have taught us, that if you truly have a desire in your heart and ask with all your heart, the Lord is going to respond. And my question wasn't your fundamental question of, am I going to go to hell or not, or what's going to happen? I just needed to know some peace. How could I have any peace when maybe the road that I was going to set foot on would lead to my loss of membership in the church? And so it dawned on me that while I don't have all the answers, I'm going to trust the Lord. And at the same time, I had a continuing obligation, as we all do, to live to the best of our abilities. And that is to serve one another. Here I was, now facing the dilemma, and all of these issues coming to me as to what was going to happen with me in my life. And knowing well the gospel of Jesus Christ, and knowing well the doctrines of the church. And it was a very, very difficult time. But it dawned on me in reading this scripture that I needed to continue to live the gospel and to have faith in things that I could not understand, while having to go on this journey of sacrificing something that's been of great significance in my life, the church and its affiliation and the members of the church. I was facing a divorce and facing the fact at the age of approximately 36 or so, 37, that I was gay. And I needed to learn to come at peace with myself. It wasn't until I was separated from Cindy and the children. It wasn't until then, and for the first time, for something that I had been dealing with as long as I can remember, at least in junior high, when I was in 8th grade, to that point, I had never actually done anything or explored what homosexuality was about. I had no sexual experience with another man. Probably because of my educational background. I actually, for a long time, approached the issue of homosexuality from an academic viewpoint, study, and try to determine, well, what do we know? What can we do? What are its origins? The thing I found disturbing for me personally is, well, there are a lot of theories about perhaps something happened to you when you were younger. Somebody acted inappropriate with you, or some other type of environmental situations. And what frustrated me about that is I wish I could hang my hat on something like that, but there was nothing to hang my hat on. Nothing ever happened to me. Nobody did anything ever to me. Simply, I didn't find my answers. The more I read, the more confused I was, because it says that doesn't tell my story. This is just the way I am. What was rather shocking to me in some ways, and stunning, was to learn that I was not alone in my family. When I had proposed to Cindy, and we had set a date to be married in the Salt Lake Temple, my older brother of a year and a half wanted to meet with me. So we met at the University of Utah at the lawn, and I remember talking, and at that time, he disclosed to me that he would not be able to participate in the temple marriage, and then proceeded to disclose to me that and I don't know what word we used. We didn't have the word gay back then. But he came out to me. And I, in turn, came out to him. Now, that meant we had, a lot of communication about this, but, and he told me years later that he was not, he felt that he was in no position to advise me because he knew of my activity and strong affiliation with the church as he had been himself. He wanted me to find my own path, and he wanted to support me, and he still has mixed feelings if he could go back in time and say, well, Ernie, you may love Cindy or she may love you, but this may not be a good thing to do because this won't go away. But no, he was very supportive. He said he would support me and that he wouldn't disclose this to anybody. Only to learn later on in my life, and this is what's so interesting maybe in a family where there are gay children, you would tend to think that they would be communicating with each other, but no. It was when I was an adult when I found out about my brother, and later on my sister, Leraine, who's a musician, and has been worldwide and going around and playing her music, and she is a lesbian. And then a few years later to find out that my youngest brother is also gay. And all of this information came to me chronologically. That is, it wasn't just everybody just said, oh, hey, this is great. No, it was, I was surprised to learn this as I went along, that each of my gay siblings didn't talk to anybody either. Thought they were alone and didn't know what to do and didn't know how to handle it, so they just kept it to themselves.
I remember bringing my girlfriends home, and I hadn't even come out of the closet. I didn't even know what coming out of the closet was. It was just like, oh, you just bring your girlfriend home, and Mom's like, oh, we love you. Yeah, you're part of our family, and everybody accepted my girlfriend. And so it was like, it was not really a big deal coming out. I mean, I didn't really know what coming out was until, I'd already been a lesbian for quite some time. So, yeah, coming out wasn't really a big issue in our family because it was always based on love and acceptance, and there was, no question really about why are you doing this or anything. It was like, well, this is, what makes them happy, and it's pretty natural. Well, yeah, I've definitely seen more strife in other families with the whole gay Mormon issue, and you feel sorry for them, because it's that thing of, I guess it's ignorance and not understanding, or that whole thing of rules of, well, this is the rule, so basically, that's what we follow. Instead of, but my mom's really an open Mormon, I think there's a lot of cool Mormons out there. I mean, she's ruled really by love and by her gut instincts of, this is a good person, and not judging them about how they live. So we've had some pretty, I think my parents have been pretty good about the whole thing of just really coming from love. My mother seen the pain of war. She's had the hungry children crying at her feet. She reaches out with the grace of God and feeds them love to keep them warm and safe. She says, love, love, love for all the children. Love, love, love. It's gonna heal this world. La, 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 la.
I had the unusual situation that in my family there are other gay members of my family. And a brother who served a mission, and another brother, a younger brother of mine, and they had partners. And so when I met them, I could see that, for whatever I thought homosexuality was and what homosexuals do, that here they were, not only stable and very normal people in appearance and behavior, but having values like anybody else, you know, wanting to be successful in life and working hard. My brothers had partners, and I could see that there was real joy in those relationships.
How do you feel about Mark and Kevin?
For me and Mark, Kevin, yeah, what I can say, I love them. They're nice guys, you know. I know them.
It was good growing up here. It was very loving, very close to my brothers and sisters. They were, since I am the youngest, second to youngest, so I'm number 10 out of 11. My brothers and sisters were always there for me. No, our parents are not the normal parents, at least the parents that I saw that my friends had or that you see on TV. Definitely my parents are not like that. They're very accepting and loving of everybody. I could bring anybody home and my parents would accept them and love them and welcome them into our home. I know a lot, and the only reason I know a lot of gay people is because of my brothers and sisters, so I'm very accepting of the gay, you know, people. I have lots of friends. For example, I have a girlfriend who has a partner. They are been together for quite a while. They have a home, beautiful home, great jobs. They're having their first baby, and their parents just cannot accept it. She can't go over to the house with her girlfriend. She lives in the closet. It's sad. And for the longest time, when they first started living together, they did the whole 2-bedroom thing. I mean, parents just thought they were roommates. And then finally, when they came clean about the whole thing, you know, they were totally just not accepting of it. It's pretty sad. I mean, they're missing out on their child's life. I just can't imagine missing out on my child's life. So, I mean, there's nothing accomplished, nothing good out of it, that's for sure. I love all of my brother-in-laws and sister-in-laws. They're great people. I love anybody that my brother or sister would love and bring into their family. I mean, if they love them, obviously there's something good about them. So, you know, I love them and accept them.
You know, the comparing of the differences between where a family is accepting, where a family isn't. I just have to second what Bianca says. I think it's sad for everyone involved, because certainly children, you know, suffer when their parents reject them or aren't involved in their lives. It's a tragedy. But to go to the extent of cutting them off and denying them, and I have a lot of friends in that situation, Mormon friends especially, because I think, unfortunately, with the ideals that are set forth in the Mormon faith, and when those aren't met, I think people mean well but don't do well when they say, well, if you're going to be that way, I'm not going to have anything to do with you. I have to grieve my mother, though. I don't think that's what the Lord would have us do. But people may wonder, how does a family that, is a Mormon family in Salt Lake City, Utah, deal with the situation when there are children in the family who reveal that they're gay? And first of all, it has to be, for most traditional Mormon families, an extremely difficult thing to go through, because for many they would say, no, it's not a thing that begins and ends, it just continues, it does not go away. And it's got to create a lot of conflict, because certainly in the Mormon tradition, what we desire of our children, and I have 3 children of my own, but what you desire of them is happiness. And part of the happiness construed through our Mormonism is marriage, is children. And all of that seems to be suddenly put on the altar as being sacrificed or being forfeit because the individual's gay. On top of that, stepping one step back into the picture, what about the individual? I'm fortunate in that I grew up in a very supporting family. My mom is the epitome, I think, of what it means to just have unconditional love. And perhaps it's unique, and people say, well, that's a rare situation. I don't know what that means in this case, but what I'm trying to say is, for my parents, the issue that they had gay children was not a major difficult issue. providing for the family and seeing that we were good people and that we were happy was of greater importance. And so my mom has been very accepting and very supportive. But I think that's the exception for Mormon families, because of the expectations and the hopes that we have, and they, you know, we're being faced that they may be shattered. This vision of our children having children and being married in the temple and being part of the church and being part of the family. But I think what makes a big difference in my family, in comparing maybe to other stories I've heard of other gay Mormons, is my parents, but in particular, my mother. She epitomizes to me charity, love, the epitome of what Jesus has been trying to teach us as to how we should treat one another. It's a very loving and caring mother, and she's always been there for us. As a matter of fact, I have a partner now of almost 11 years, and she just embraces him as her own. And that has made a significant difference in my life. It's something I've become more conscious of as I'm older, and more appreciative of as I'm older. While I was growing up, I think a lot of us as kids, we don't appreciate our parents till we look back and realize how much they sacrificed for us. And certainly, that's where I owe a lot to my dad too. He never complained about all the work he had to do, and he worked a lot to keep that family fed, to keep us going. And all of us, I think, have picked up his tremendous work ethic. Based upon all the feedback I get and the feedback from my siblings, we owe a lot to our parents. And here later in their lives, am I realizing what noble people they are. They don't have college degrees. They don't have mansions. They don't have professional accomplishments. But they have character. And very devoted to their family, sacrificed for their family. And the United States is their third country. And it was their courage and just their simple faith that got us here. When I think back to take a family and come to the United States, and it's the American dream now. And I owe it to my parents that I live now in this country, and I hold my citizenship sacred.
Same-sex attraction is a human condition that is constant across ethnic groups, geography, and culture. In my professional work as a university professor of molecular biology, I have examined and accept the scientific evidence that strongly suggests that homosexuality is rooted in biological factors. More simply, Ilse and John Horstmanshoff have accepted the life experience of their children. They believe the testimonies of those children that being homosexual is an innate, unchosen part of their personalities. When 4 of their children came out to them, these wonderful parents did not go into their own closet. Ernie, Andy, Stan, and Leraine continue to receive the same unconditional love they have always known. Homosexuality in a loved one brings changed expectations into Latter-day Saint homes. Most often there is also considerable pain and anxiety due to the unfortunate unkindness and insensitivity that is often manifested. The Horstmanshoffs have responded to these challenges with unwavering support for their children. Acknowledging that we don't know all the answers to this complex aspect of humanity, we recommend the example of this loving family as we all try to care for one another and seek for greater understanding.
We can push them away because that is against the law of the Lord. I told them we can do that. We could accept them, love them, and But I found out all those children are the lovely people, the loveliest people, because they got so much, not only patient, but they are very kind, very, very kind. And they respect you. They're respectful for other people is so hard, you know. And all those kids.